You're listening to Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast for and by Rockies fans on Rocky Mountain Rooftop. Thank you for joining us as we discuss all things baseball and Colorado Rockies. Hello and welcome to Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast on Rocky Mountain Rooftop, a proud affiliate of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Evan Lang, and with me, as always, is Skyler Timmons.
Howdy.
It is a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I am sleepy and full of delicious chicken biryani from a local Indian place, and we are coming off the Colorado Rockies winning a series against a division opponent for the first time in 2025, as they take 3 of 4 from the sliding Arizona Diamondbacks. 3 comeback victories for the Rockies.
What?
So the Rockies, I believe, need 7 more wins now to avoid setting the record for worst modern era record. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't keep track of it.
I'm pretty sure it's 7, because I think it was 8 yesterday. But it's been weird to have these Rockies, we'll talk about it a little bit more later in the show, but they just don't quit.
Can't stop, won't stop.
It's been nice, though. It was a fun weekend of baseball for the Rockies, which I feel like we don't get to say that often, where the majority of the weekend was actually fun. So, gonna take this while we can before we get boat raced by the Dodgers here over the next couple days.
Yeah. Probably.
But hey, you know what? I'll take it. I never go into a game against the Dodgers expecting to win, so if we can steal one game against them, okay, I'll take that.
Mm-hmm. Or if we can just be competitive against them.
Yeah, a competitive ball game would be nice. 4 competitive ball games would be nicer, but, let's be honest, that we're going to get crushed in at least one of these games. It's going to be 45-2.
Mm-hmm.
But, Skyler, we've got some odds and ends to keep. The Rockies were at home here this week against the Diamondbacks, but last weekend they were on the road, and Coors Field had a new tenant.
The firefighters?
Yes, the firefighters, but also the Savannah Bananas, who were there to take on the firefighters in a 2-game exhibition barnstorming set. And they took over Coors Field, and they packed the house. Completely sold-out crowd of 50,000 plus on both days of Banana Ball here in Denver. And I was very fortunate to be able to go on the Sunday afternoon game. Absolute blast. But Skyler, what are your thoughts on the Banana Ball takeover of Coors Field?
I'll preface it where I'm not hot on the Savannah Bananas, in a sense, I don't vibe with them. They're not for me. I can appreciate the novelty of the entertainment aspect of it. As a form of baseball, I'm too much of a purist where I'd much rather watch a normal baseball game. Because the game itself, the actual baseball being played, it's pretty pedestrian, and it's pretty simple, nothing flashy there. I don't like the trick catches just because the fundamentalist in me, I'm like, come on, make that play. Just get the out type of thing. So I have to put that out front.
But at the same time, Skyler, how often while watching the Rockies this year have we been, come on, make that play, without them trying to do a cool backflip first?
Yeah, but so I got to preface that out first. On the other aspect of it, what they've been able to do just as an entertainment product, across the country and in their thing, it's really impressive. And the draw that they have to sell out Coors Field, that's their biggest venue I believe they've played in thus far, or at least that they've sold out in the baseball stadiums they've played in. They've been able to sell that out. That's really impressive, and it's a notch in the belt for them, of just a feather in their cap of how popular and just how appealing they are just as an entertainment product. Of, hey, I'm going to go have fun, watch some silly baseball antics, and then I'm going to go home. Like there's probably a nice thing, especially for people in Colorado after this awful season of Rockies baseball, to be able to just go, relax for a couple hours, have a fun afternoon with the kids and the family, and just chill and watch some weirdos doing some dancing.
Yeah, and I totally get where you're coming from on that of, the baseball purist. And, I've had some people say it's like, oh, they should add this from banana ball to regular baseball. And I'm like, no, they shouldn't. It's part of what makes banana ball special is all the goofy stuff. Yeah. And like, yeah, there's a lot of fun rules and goofy stuff that they do. And I remember a couple of years ago, when the Bananas first really came onto the scene, people were floating as like, oh, the MLB should add the golden batter rule and stuff like that. But keeping all of that within banana ball is part of what makes banana ball really special, because outside of that, like you said, it's not incredibly high level baseball. It's solid enough baseball. Like, all of the guys on the field there are former college and minor league players. They all know what they're doing. They can play a competent game of baseball, but it's much more about putting on the show. And It is like, it's a game of baseball. There's a winner and a loser. It's not predetermined, but at the end of the day, it's about the entertainment value of it. But what's really funny is, the baseball purists, aren't necessarily huge fans all the time, but I know somebody who took her husband to go to the banana ball game, and husband is not a baseball fan, and he said he didn't like it because it was too much like regular baseball. There's too much baseball in it. There's too much baseball in this. Too much
baseball in my banana ball.
Yeah, exactly. But I had an awesome time. I think the biggest thing for me was, I don't think we've seen Coors Field that buzzing, that packed with cheering fans to watch a baseball game, even if it's entertainment first baseball versus competitive baseball, in a long time. And it's something that we really haven't seen this year, where just the whole stadium is electrified.
Where they're unified behind, I'm sure people are. Who's showing up to, like, I'm here to root for the firefighters, or one of their other teams? Like, everybody's there to root for really the concept of, the Savannah Bananas, because that's what I've seen on TikTok, and saw people that in my local community here that were able to go. Like, hey, we saw the Bananas on TikTok, and as soon as we heard they're coming to Denver, we knew we had to try and get there, type of thing. So it's cool what they've done to just pique people's interest in baseball that maybe weren't as interested before, or we're just kind of burned out on the Rockies and just wanted to have a fun day at Coors Field for an entertainment thing. So, it's good that they've been able to do all that, and it's awesome that so many people could go and buzz and be behind one thing, and it's not, a smattering of people outnumbering the Bananas. They're not there doing Dodger chants or Cubs chants and MVPs for the other opposing team, but the quote unquote home team had the full support of the crowd.
I will say there are fans of the other teams. There were a decent number of people there in full firefighters regalia. And the firefighters were really fun to watch as well. It's all of these teams have their standout guys. Like, you've got the guy in the cowboy hat for the Bananas. There are these two players for the firefighters who really stand out. One of them is nicknamed Big Rig. The other guy wears 911 on the back of his jersey, and he's got an incredible mustache and a big curly mullet. And names escaping me right now, because I'm actually relatively new to the whole banana ball experience. But I can see why people really, really like this. Mm-hmm. And especially, it's a very inclusive, very family-friendly environment. Lots of involvement of kids, lots of kids getting excited. And, hey, maybe this gets some kids into baseball that maybe would not have necessarily done so.
And then those kids are really confused when they start playing baseball and the rules are different.
I was talking with my guy, the bartender up at the Silver Bullet Bar when I went there, and we were talking about how a bunch of youth baseball leagues can, like, as sort of like a breather day or a let's have fun and break away from the normal grind kind of day, we'll do a banana ball day of, all right, today we're just going to have fun and we're going to do goofy stuff and we're going to play it banana ball style to take a break and have some fun. And I think that's great too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, do I think that banana ball is a replacement for regular baseball? No. And it probably never will be. It's the same as, like, people like the Harlem Globetrotters. The Harlem Globetrotters are never going to, outdraw the NBA championship. That's just how it goes. But as a really fun, exciting entertainment product that, spreads the joy of baseball while doing its own unique things, I had a great time. And for the Saturday night game, to get to see Ubaldo Jimenez pitch at Coors Field again, how cool was that?
Throw 2 whole pitches, which I wanted more. But no, it's good to see Ubaldo back. He should have been able to do that in 2020. Stupid Jeff Bridich.
He probably should have, especially because he was having a pretty solid spring training that year.
Well, and then he stuck with
Ubaldo.
He stuck with the team all through the break in between when everything shut down. He stuck with the team. He was in all the meetings, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, Ubaldo, you're cut. You're not coming to summer camp."
Yeah, that shouldn't have happened. They should have given him his last hurrah. And I'll say this as well. Ubaldo looked good. Like, he looked in playing shape. Looked healthy, looked, ready to rock and roll, and it was a lot of fun to see him. Vinny Castilla, meanwhile, 58-year-old Vinny, who grounded out during his appearance, whose knees are very clearly a fine powder, trying to gun it up the line, was like, oh man, Vinny.
Got him out on his front foot.
He ain't in playing shape no more.
Yeah, those banana ball guys. In those moments, you gotta serve those guys up a meatball. But at least he didn't just completely rip his quads or hammies like Sean Casey did.
Yeah, or apparently Mariano Rivera tore his ACL at the Yankees old timer game like a week or two ago. So I'll take everybody leaving that game healthy. But yeah, banana ball at Coors Field. I would love to see them back at some point. But it was a lot of fun to have them. And then meanwhile, Skyler, you have finally made your annual pilgrimage to Coors Field.
Yes, thanks to my free tickets from Rockies TV subscription. They gave me my 4 free tickets. We went and sat down in section 128. Good spot back behind home plate, more on the first base side. Really good spot. We were like halfway down the section on the aisle. It's a good time.
Yeah.
But honestly, I tweeted this from the Rocky Mountain Rooftop account, pretending it was a third party saying it, but it was me, Evan. That Coors Field's expensive.
Yeah.
Why am I paying $7 for the crappiest pretzel I've ever had?
What you got to do is you got to go and get the mustache pretzel, which is way better than the regular ballpark pretzel, and the same price.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, for me, is like, I don't want to go hunting around the ballpark for stuff. Like, I usually can only stick in the section I'm at where the concessions are, because lines are always big, and like that's just part of the sporting events. But then I was like, oh, I'm going to go check out the shop. And then looking at the prices, like, never mind, I'm not getting anything in the shop.
They do have a couple of dedicated lower price merchandise stands scattered around the first level now. I think there's one on each side, where they generally are selling discounted or clearance merchandise. But yeah, stuff's expensive, and it's only going to get more expensive. I will say, at the very least, the Rockies are very generous with redeeming your free tickets from your Rockies TV subscription. Like, you can get some what would be very expensive tickets for that. Honestly, the value of the seats that you can get are probably more than one would pay for their Rockies TV subscription.
Yeah, it was there was a limit on it this year that I found, where the tickets that they limited, you couldn't go past a certain level. The tickets couldn't be more expensive than like $87 was the value of the tickets, so to speak, of each seat. So you couldn't go beyond that, because I would like look and like, well, these seats are open. oh, they're not available to redeem on the whatever system they use to redeem the vouchers. But still, pretty good seats. Came close to getting a foul ball. There was one that landed like behind us, a couple rows up.
But now, if you had caught that foul ball and it was banana ball, it would have been an out. But it has to be a clean catch.
But honestly, and I've talked about this before, it's until the Rockies started doing something in the later innings, when they started to make their comeback, that game was a snooze fest. Because the in-game entertainment, pretty lackluster. Like, it's pretty boring. You can hardly hear what's on the big screen. As we couldn't last night, and like the in-game just stuff. Up on the jumbotron. Okay, I'm watching a person throw beanbags into a thing. They lost. Oh, it's just boring. Like, the game itself, between the team on the field and the in-game promotion, Coors Field's kind of boring.
Yeah,
if you're there to watch baseball and that, and like, we don't drink, so like, that's not in the factor for me and my family.
Yeah,
we're not there for alcohol, so we're not getting hammered, and that makes things like we're there to watch the game.
And to be fair, if you're at a baseball game for alcohol, there are cheaper ways to get drunk.
That too.
buying a $16 tall boy.
Yeah,
I do get what you mean. And for most of that game, like, until the Rockies went off in the 8th inning, it was 7-2.
Yeah.
It was the Rockies were getting clobbered, and they were losing for the majority of the game. And yeah, they won, and it was exciting, and it was great, and the last 2-3 innings were some really excellent fun to watch baseball.
Yeah, but like, it goes back to kind of tie this into the banana ball experience where, no, they do that. And I'm sure because I watched it on that Saturday, I watched it on Disney Plus on TV, and they really only show the baseball stuff. And then like the special like at-bat intro, and we saw a couple dances. I'm like, it's pretty boring to watch on TV. But from it sounds like there's a lot more they do on the field, if you're there in person, which is great, and it sounds super entertaining. Or like minor league baseball. They do so many fun promotions. I was watching the Fresno Grizzlies one night, and they're doing just the water balloon home run derby. And like, minor league baseball does a lot of that fun stuff. And so why doesn't Major League Baseball do more of this?
Yeah,
like the Rockies could do some fun stuff, but we just don't. It's an immaculate ballpark. It's beautiful views. It was a beautiful night, perfect weather, and I'm watching a guy pick a helmet on a board wrong. Of where's the ball under the helmet? Let's watch these CGI trucks race through downtown Denver.
Except it's not even really downtown Denver.
Yeah.
Like, it's all very generic and sterile. And I think about, you mentioned the beanbag throwing is, you know what the Bananas did instead of beanbag throwing? They put these 2 kids in comically oversized pants down in foul territory and huck bananas at them from the 3rd deck of the stadium. And the kids have to try and catch them in the pants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, that would take like, ML. Yeah, it's like Major League Baseball then would have to, get a little lax with time in between innings and everything. Just the rush of it, but yeah, it's just, I want more entertainment. There used to be a lot more fun things back in the day, and like COVID, I think, screwed up a lot of that. But like, remember when they would do we're gonna get the big slingshot and fire fly balls at this person, and like, you're laughing at the people who comically can't catch a fly ball, and they're running around there in left field, or the grounds crew challenge used to be really fun, where they had to run from center field, put in second base, and then run to the dugout. Now you have to spin the wheel in 20 seconds to run down to third, hand a bag to a grounds crew guy, and then run back up. And it's like,
but it's not an MLB issue. It's a Rockies issue.
Yeah.
Because, earlier this year, I was in Texas for the Rockies series against the Rangers at Globe Life. And they did a great job with in-game entertainment. They had a better scoreboard experience where they showed more interesting stats.
Yeah.
And they had, more like trivia about the players and stuff like that. The in-game entertainment, they had more special songs and stuff like that. And it was overall like, and they had a race. And even though it was like a commercially sponsored thing, it was the dot race sponsored by such and such. It was still fun because you're watching 3 dudes in costumes lie, cheat, and steal to try and win a race. And we don't even have the tooth trot anymore. Like, the most interesting thing of the game is when Dinger rides out on a motorcycle at the beginning.
Yeah, and we didn't even, because of rain and traffic, we didn't get there until like 20 minutes before the game started. And that was getting into the parking lot. And then we get all the way down into the stadium. So we got there right as they announced the starting lineups and we're singing the national anthem. And so, like, it's just a bland experience, which is a shame because Coors Field is a beautiful place to watch a game.
And you've got one of the best mascots in professional sports, who I think is criminally underutilized.
Yeah, like he comes down in those middle innings, down one row, taking pictures with people and like hanging out, and then he climbs into that the VIP club spot right behind home plate. People run down there taking pictures with him and whatnot. But yeah, it's just like the Rockies. I think that's kind of tied in with the Bananas of like that's where Dick Monfort is partly blowing it with the whole just Coors Field experience. Hey, if your team's going to suck, how do you draw people in? You have some wicked in-game entertainment. It's like, did you see what they did in between innings at the Rockies game? Like they did this sort of thing or this event. You know, like the Mariners with Big Dumper dumping people over the big board. Like there's just so much more fun things you could do, and they just don't. And it's a real shame.
It's the same with like the food offerings too. It's like, do some weird stuff with it. It's like, yeah, you've got Rocky Mountain oysters, but that's not that unique or interesting anymore. Versus like at a Mariners game, you can get a fried chili dusted cricket.
Yeah. Yeah, like utilize Colorado. Like do some potato stuff. There's good Colorado potatoes. Do something with that.
When I think of Colorado produce, I do not think of potatoes.
You
first
should,
and
because
foremost.
Colorado potatoes are legit, dude.
I think of Rocky Ford cantaloupes and Palisade peaches.
Yeah, put potatoes in that category too.
I'm not
better than Idaho.
You are literally the first person I've ever known to bring up Colorado potatoes.
Because I come from rural Colorado, Evan.
Okay, so you know what's up. It's potato country down there.
There's a potato plant like 2 miles from me right now.
I mean, yeah. If just at a grocery store, potatoes are plants. It's a potato plant.
No, there are potato fields like 2-3 miles from my house right now.
So if you got a minor league baseball team down there, would you want it to be potato themed?
That wouldn't be bad. The Spuds, the Taters.
I like Spuds. Spuds ain't bad, actually.
Yeah, Spuds ain't a bad name. But yeah, don't hate on Colorado potatoes.
I'm not hating on them. Good. I didn't know it was a thing until now.
Were a thing.
No,
come on.
Like I said, when I think Colorado produce, it's Palisade peaches and Rocky Ford cantaloupes.
Olathe corn.
Never heard of or thought of Olathe corn. You could make something up. You'd be like,
Colorado?
Oh, what about Alamosa aubergines?
No,
yeah, the aubergines.
Alamosa's got nothing.
The aubergines they grow in Alamosa are the best aubergines in the country.
Yeah, Olathe corn. That's a delicious corn. Every year, it's very sweet corn.
You're making things up. No, I tell you what I am. I'm from Colorado. I'm a Colorado suburb boy.
Yeah.
I grew up in the regular boring suburbs of Denver.
I like how we started off talking about banana ball and it's devolved into just
produce talk.
Produce talk. Hey, bananas. It's all related. It's like poetry and rhymes. Yeah.
Everything is so dense.
There's a lot of good produce in Colorado beyond the Rocky Ford stuff. There's potatoes, corn.
That is true.
Good stuff. Beef.
Well, I think that's a good stopping point here for this first segment. We're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna go get me some front range potatoes, and we'll be right back after these messages. All right, Skyler's gonna hook me up with some potatoes during the break. You know a guy. Welcome back to Affected by Altitude with Evan and Skyler. Happy to have you with us here on this lovely Sunday evening. And Skyler, now that we're done talking about banana ball and your stadium experience and the varieties of impressive local Colorado produce, it's time to talk about the actual Rockies on the field. Not in the field, not harvesting in the field.
Growing potatoes.
what growing potatoes, obviously, or corn, I guess, apparently. But how they're doing on the field. And for the last little bit, honestly, this is a team that isn't quitting. And the Rockies are still terrible. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're still very bad. But they're getting close to being able to avoid the all-time modern era loss record. And it's a lot less of looking at the team and going, this team looks downtrodden, this team looks like they've given up, everybody looks miserable kind of thing, where that was really what we were seeing, especially during the first couple months of the season under Bud Black before he was relieved of duty. And under Warren Schaefer, and especially after the All-Star break, it's been a very different vibe of, the Rockies are still bad, but they are not exhausting and miserable to watch.
Yeah, and I was kind of looking up, and it's been a thing for them this season because it's just I'm trying to look up what's been their record since the start of June, so to speak. But yeah, it's been a tale of two different teams this year, especially where, like, I think a lot of that's just been the turnover of the roster. There's been less embarrassing losses. It's just been better play. We've talked about it where they're watchable since they're still frustrating at times.
That Toronto series notwithstanding.
Yeah, but they've been more watchable, and I think part of that's just been just the personnel changes. Where Warren Schaefer, there's been change that we've seen of difference in management, and they've turned that roster over. There's been a lot of change. There's been a lot of young guys that have come in, and so there's a lot of these guys with chips on their shoulders are eager to prove themselves, and it's helped that team where they've started to develop that spirit of the old Rockies, the old comeback kids, where at Coors Field, hey, anything could happen, and it feels like, okay, they have the capability. It's not impossible or out of the question that they could make a comeback, sort of thing. And that's been a lot better for them.
Yeah, this is a team that only won 4 games the entire month of April. And now they've got, like, it's August. We're halfway through August at time of recording. And we've got 6 wins this month.
7.
And that's right, not counting today. 7 wins this month. So we've almost doubled the win total that we had in April, and the month's not even over yet. And you're right, and it's that this team got, whether they wanted to or not, a refresh in terms of who is in the clubhouse and who is on the field. Bud Black, gone, replaced with the younger Warren Schaefer, whom... Bud Black was pretty well liked in the clubhouse, but Warren Schaefer has been much more of a, man, these guys would ride into glorious battle for this guy. Yeah. Like, and when you ask them about the no-quit attitude, a lot of them bring up Warren Schaefer. Hensley Mullins, gone, replaced with Nick Wilson and Jordan Pacheco. And you know what? We're seeing results. A lot of it is due to some of that roster turnover of guys with different batting profiles, but the strikeouts have gotten better. They're putting the ball more into play. They're hitting with a little bit more authority. And yeah, like I said, some of that's roster turnover. You got guys like Kyle Karros and Warming Bernabel and Tyler Freeman, all of whom are just not strikeout guys. And that's great. But at the same time, the other guys are striking out less too. And I think Clint Hurdle being in the dugout has been kind of a big deal. I think he's been a really good guy to lean on for Warren Schaefer and the rest of this very young coaching staff. And a lot of the veterans, the old timers, are gone outside of the pitching staff where, Herman and Freeland and Senzatela are all still there. It's a very, very young position player group where the oldest guy of the position players is what, Orlando Arcia, who's 30?
It'd be Kyle Farmer.
Oh, that's right. He's a billion years old.
He's 34.
And they love him.
But Arcia is the most experienced and most successful, or has experienced the most success out of all of them.
Yeah. with a World Series ring to his name.
Yeah, I was just looking at, this team on Bud Black's final day as manager. The batting order, Brenton Doyle leading off center field, Jordan Beck in left, McMahon at third, Goodman DH, Tolley at first, Moniak in right, Farmer at second, Stallings behind the dish, and Alan Trejo at shortstop. But we look at what that roster was in general. Then you had your, Nick Martini was, lurking around in there. He was still there with this team. He started DH the next day. But you look at how this roster's turned over and who the staples are in the batting order, how that's changed, who's playing where, and it's who's getting the opportunities. It's just night and day. And so this team that was really, truly on pace to be the worst in baseball, with that turnover, a lot of these younger guys, that really isn't on them. They've got 27 wins or so under Warren Schaefer since he took over, and like 26 since the start of June. That's pretty good. All things considered.
Yeah, good by Rockies standards. It's a tale of two teams where you had the historically awful first half Rockies, especially in March through end of May. Legitimately some of the worst baseball I have ever watched. Painful every night. The guys all look completely downtrodden. Everybody's totally miserable.
A team that won 9 games.
And you have the second half of the season Rockies, who really have that, never say die attitude, even when they are getting trounced. Like, during that series against the Toronto Blue Jays, that was a miserable series. That series sucked. But the attitude was still pretty sufficiently different in terms of the vibe that everyone was giving off on the field and in the clubhouse.
Yeah, a lot of it, is guys that, they're going to play to the very end. I think that's where a lot of these guys were taught. Like, I'm going to play hard till the very end. You look at a Kyle Karros type of guy, a guy who's been around big league clubhouses and teams his whole life. That's kind of the mentality he brings. Along with a lot of those guys, I'm going to play to the final out. And that's what. And
I think a lot of these guys also have some chips on their shoulders. You have Warming Bernabel, who had largely fallen off the radar prospect wise, and now he's turning heads and making a name for himself. He's getting his own special cards in MLB The Show, and people are making jokes about his name and stuff like that. And he's
killing Juan Mejia,
and he's annihilating Juan Mejia on the field.
He's sending Juan Mejia to the afterlife.
If you didn't watch the series finale against the Diamondbacks, with runners on and 2 outs, Juan Mejia, as the closer, gunning for his first career save, gets Ketel Marte to pop up. And Mejia, as pitchers are often taught to not do, goes running off of the mound to try and make the catch. Also trying to make the catch is the rather large and rather quick Warming Bernabel, who Juan Mejia makes the catch and is immediately obliterated by Warming Bernabel. Just absolutely bulldozed. And Mejia is on the ground and looks like he has died. He is on the ground, eyes closed, spread eagle.
All that was missing was for the broadcast to cut to whopper, 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 whopper.
And Warming Bernabel is standing over him going, with like his arms pumped in the air. And we're watching it going, is he okay? We good? But even then, for Mejia, his appearances this year have been characterized by he's not going to back down from difficult situations. He's going to gut his way through these appearances, and he's going to do everything he can to help his team.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is ill-advisedly trying to make that final out of the game with the catch. And that's what I feel like we're seeing for a lot of these guys. And everybody is playing an important part. And there's still plenty of bad to go around. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a trade-off for pretty much everything. Like, Mickey Moniak and Tyler Freeman are hitting really, really well. Moniak at Coors Field, Freeman pretty much everywhere. They are both some of the worst outfield defenders I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their defense is so bad that they are worth negative wins above replacement, despite the fact that they are both hitting very well. Despite the fact that statistically, they're technically two of the best hitters in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got, other guys, the Rockies clearly having run out of patience with Michael Tolia and potentially Ariel Amador, who was optioned again when Ryan Ritter returned from the injured list. And, some of that is tough to deal with, but at the same time, these are the kinds of growing pains that you're going to get on a rebuilding team. And it's the fight that they have in them that they know they're bad. They know they've lost a ton of games. And they know that, despite the fact that it's getting closer to not being the case, the worst record in baseball is still a possibility for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of that fight and everything goes back to Warren Schaefer at the top. Whereas Bud Black, he was the old man. Where the team was headed, he just wasn't suited for that, of helping foster young players. He comes from a different generation of how you treat rookies and whatnot, and a lot of it's like tough love. That's how you got to treat them, and I'm going to pick my veterans who are experienced and all these things. Whereas Warren Schaefer, he is that mentor. Like, he's been in these guys' shoes, and he's close to them in age, type of thing. So he's kind of that cool dad or cool older brother that knows how to inspire the young players, these minor league players, these rookies that are coming up trying to find themselves, make their place. Bud Black wanted the finished product. Warren Schaefer knows that guys will be works in progress still.
Yeah.
And I think that's the clear distinction with how this team is between these two halves that we're talking about, where now you have guys that are comfortable, where they can make mistakes, but they can also then learn from it. If a guy makes a mistake, there's going to be accountability too. Michael Tolia, he's been given his chances, hasn't learned from them. And so what happens? You lose your spot to Warming Bernabel and you get sent down to AAA, where you continue to mash for some reason. And you have to find your way back. You have to learn from it. And so there's build more of that accountability and just growth for players to be who they are and be challenged to try and be better. And some guys have risen to the challenge. Some others have not. And that's just siphoning through the weeds.
Yeah. And even then, though, a big thing with Schaefer is that, when you watch his pressers, when you watch him answer questions, like, he'll point out things that are done wrong without throwing guys under the bus, but he's also very quick to praise, especially the younger guys, of where here's what they did right, here's what they did well, let's look at that also.
Yeah.
And I think that's important too. It's a confidence building thing where you're giving them the opportunities, and yeah, you're going to sit him occasionally. I know people have been very frustrated with the amount of days off that Hunter Goodman has gotten, and that, we're still occasionally going to see a guy like Orlando Arcia or Kyle Farmer in the starting lineup. And that's just kind of who Schaefer is in terms of everybody's going to get at least some playing time.
And that's how baseball is. Like, it's grueling, and the league is, a lot of teams have gotten away, especially with catchers. Catchers aren't going to play every day, people.
Yeah, and a lot of it is, and Schaefer has discussed this multiple times, and it kind of gets ignored, is it's load management. Yeah. Hunter Goodman has never been a full season catcher in his entire career, including in college. And it is a very difficult and very physically demanding position. So they're trying to not run him into the ground while still having him start most games. And I think that's totally fine. Does it annoy me sometimes? A little, where I'd be like, man, this seems like a good lineup to have Hunter Goodman in. But at the same time...
Yeah, and you look at where the Rockies are this season. If they were in the middle of a playoff hunt, Hunter Goodman's going to probably be in there 9 times out of 10. But it's okay for him to get breathers too. Guys need days off.
Yeah, so, like people were complaining about Kyle Karros having the day off today. And Kyle Karros had started 9 consecutive games since coming up, And we're about to start what is going to be a very difficult 4-game series against the Dodgers with no off day. It's like, you got to get guys some rest in there somewhere, get either a physical or mental reset day. And that's kind of what they did for Antonio Sensatella. And we'll talk about him a little bit later. Do I think his blister was so bad that they actually had to put him on the injured list? No. Do I think they used that opportunity to give him both a physical and mental reset? You betcha.
Well, and like, you think of how the minor leagues works. You play Tuesday through Sunday, you're off on Monday. So you have a day off every week. Same with the big leagues. Like, you can, the off days are a little more sporadic. Maybe you will get an off day this week. Maybe you won't. But I wouldn't worry too much about that, people. But it just goes spinning all these wheels, trying to get these guys experience and help that learning process a little quicker along. Where, okay, Yanquiel Fernandez, despite you being a terrible outfielder, you're going to play right field because you're going to get this start, and I'm going to get all these young guys the time that they need, as well as these older guys, because they deserve playing time too. Maybe not as much, but they still get some.
Yeah.
And so he's just managing that roster a little bit better, of utilizing all of his tools and doing his best to get them all in when
both Arcia and Farmer have had their clutch moments.
Yeah. It happens.
Arcia today is the reason why the Rockies got on the board in the first place. And Farmer, without giving his bat to Hunter Goodman, would Hunter Goodman really be as red hot as he is right now? I love that kind of stuff. The equipment changes and stuff like that. I find that fascinating. But it's a very different looking team. And the last thing I want to say on this before we cut to our next break is, I know some people, I've had this thought myself, some of our fellow writers, fellow fans, of if the Rockies don't break the record for worst team in the modern era, then what was all of this for? And, all of the misery and not even being like historically memorable. And, well, what if this doesn't spur any change or anything like that? And it's tough to negotiate that, because it's at one point, the hope was that by being historically awful, it would finally force, Dick Monfort and company to make some meaningful changes. But you know what? They have done at least some. Like, is it everything that they need to do? No, of course not. There is so much more that needs to be done with this team. But there is very clearly change in motion. And, we still got to wait and see, obviously. But the writing is on the wall for Bill Schmidt, where pretty much both locally and nationally, all of the media is going, we're pretty sure he's not going to be the GM next year. Is he going to be fired? No, probably not, because, Skyler, and I have discussed this before. He's not under a traditional GM contract, where you can't just fire him as the GM. He's an officer of the club, and, Dick Monfort's loyalty probably says that he's going to reassign a guy that has been his close friend and colleague for decades, instead of just firing him point blank.
Yeah. And it's also, I know I was talking about this with my brother while we were coming back, or I think we were going up to the game or coming back from the game, where, he hopes they don't get that record, because it is embarrassing. Do you really want that as a fan? And it's for those reasons you just mentioned, having like the change is already happening. And is Dick Monfort, do you really see, oh man, we didn't get the record. I don't have to change anything now. We finished. They get these next 7 wins, and that maybe that's all they get. Glad we didn't get that record. Even we avoided it by 1 game. Now we don't have to change a thing. Like, it's an embarrassing season. They realize that. They've been out of it since the end of March, honestly. After that first game of Tampa Bay, the writing was on the wall. Like, this season's not going to be good. You've had multiple 100-loss seasons. This has been an awful season. The historically bad things have already been etched in stone. The Rockies have faced enough. Yeah, if they added the record on, okay. But everything else is already just compounded. That would just be the cherry on top.
Yeah.
But
And
sometimes you don't need that cherry on top.
And I've gone back and forth with it of, do I want them to get the record or do I not? And I think ultimately I've settled on, I don't. Because like you said, it is embarrassing. And I already get enough, oh, I'm sorry, when I say that I'm a Rockies fan. Do I really need more of that in my life?
Yeah. It's like the Rockies are going to continue to fail at things and through a lot. But like I said, like we've been talking about the young guys, do you want to put that on them? Because it's going to get pinned on most of the guys that are on the roster right now. They're going to get clumped into everything. Because people forget, like, there's a lot of context and minutia with baseball seasons.
Yeah.
And rosters and everything. But, yeah, ultimately, no, I don't want them to get the record. Would it do some good? Probably. But does it make a difference? No, because they already suck.
Yeah.
So
and I've even seen some people go, it's like, oh, I don't think it's going to spur any meaningful change, but I hope they get the record anyway. And I just go, but why then?
Yeah.
If you don't think setting the record for worst team in the modern era is going to actually spur any meaningful change, why would you want that embarrassment, that misery anyway?
Do you want them to get the record because you hate Dick Monfort, or you want them to change?
Yeah, is it like a spite thing?
Yeah.
Because if it's a spite thing, at least come out and admit it.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, I'm not here to police anybody's fandom, but if you're actively rooting for your team to fail with no end game in sight, what kind of a fan does that make you? It sounds miserable.
Exactly.
Like, I admit it, like, I'm overly people tell me I'm overly positive about this team, and sometimes I am, and that's because I'm a fan. I'm a Rockies fan. I love the Rockies. I will always love the Rockies. I buy Rockies merch and Rockies memorabilia and Rockies baseball cards and all of that crap. But at the end of the day, it's because I love my team and I want them to succeed.
Yeah. And it's like, beyond 100 losses, does it really matter?
Yeah. I mean, if you're still gonna lose 115 to 120 games, that's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it's like we've said, it's like, yeah, the Rockies are still bad this year, even under Warren Schaefer, even with all the changes, even with the progress, the Rockies still suck. Like, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah. Not sniffing it. As you walk out of Coors Field, there's that one, it's like an arrow sign. It's near like the gate B or whatever, on the way out to lot B and all that stuff. And there's the sign with the Rockies, mountain logo thing, and it says like arrow, and then it just says 5 years out. And I was like, that's so fitting for this team.
Especially because it said 5 years out for like 15 years now.
Yeah. My goodness. It's like just it's poetry. Yeah, it rhymes.
Everything is so dense.
So complex.
But we're going to take one more quick break here, and we'll be talking more Rockies shop when we come back, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Affected by Altitude. I'm Evan, that's Skyler, and this is our third and final segment. We've been talking about the Rockies here for 40-plus minutes now, and something, Skyler, I feel like we need to be discussing is the state of this Colorado Rockies pitching rotation. We've been talking about it a little bit. Our colleague Renee Deckert mentioned it a little bit as well. The Rockies are kind of in trouble when it comes to their pitching, but especially their rotation, where things have not gone as planned, and the rotation, which was supposed to be one of the positives coming into this year, is now not only a gigantic question mark for the rest of this season, it's a huge question mark for next season, because we were all expecting some of these guys are going to get traded, some of these guys are going to move on from, and we've got lots of reinforcements coming up. Dollander has struggled. Carson Palmquist has been permanently moved to the bullpen. The next guy up is maybe Gabriel Hughes if you think he's ready, and there's nobody after that right now.
Yeah, or it was like the rotation this year. I don't know if it would be the positive, but it would be stable. Like, it would be a known commodity. Okay, we've got the veteran foursome of Freeland, Marquez, Senzatella, Gomber, and then we'll see who fills out that other spot, Dolander or somebody else. But again, as is proven the case with a lot of their other positions, the Rockies' depth, their development, and their preparation of young starting pitching is still not good. In fact, I would say it's still awful. And part of it, these are good, a lot of good arms. Dolander, we know, like Blaylock has shown what he can do. Gordon's shown it. We've seen what Carson Palmquist could do in the minors. It didn't translate to the big leagues beyond one time through rotation because it's soft tossing lefty. And the Rockies just don't have enough of those, Evan. But it's a detriment of the Rockies still don't know how to they still don't know what to do with starting pitching.
Yeah, and it gets even weirder because now there's you really got to think about what happens with, say, Herman Marquez, where you need bodies for the rotation next year. You were expecting Herman to be gone already if he hadn't been injured. He was expected to be gone at the deadline, and now you've got to wager of, oh, do we need to try and get him to come back? Does he even want to come back for next season? Because right now, the 2026 rotation to me looks like Kyle Freeland, Chase Dolander, bunch of question marks.
Yeah. Senzatella because we have to.
Maybe Gabriel Hughes, maybe Senzatella.
Yeah, and trying to look up because it's how quickly do they move up a Sean Sullivan? But even then, he still fits into the mold of other starters they have.
Yeah, soft tossing lefty, and he's been dealing with injuries. He missed the start of the season, recovering from hip surgery, and he's on the shelf right now due to an injury.
Yeah, it's part of like the Rockies need to. I don't know what it's going to be tough for them to enter the free agent market, but it's they've got to figure something out, and it's still overhauling pitching. You need to get guys in place who can help these guys succeed, at the big league level and starting pitching wise. The bullpen, they've kind of gotten some things figured out. They've identified kind of an idea of, okay, these are guys that can be successful, guys that are hard throwing guys with some wicked off speed stuff. You can mix in a soft tosser like Jimmy Herget, who can still fool guys. Now, there's no one archetype that will help them. But I think, Evan, the biggest thing I think for the rotation and just pitching in general and starting pitching philosophy is command and control. There's way too much just bad pitches from a starting rotation. Chase Dolander, even when he's been back, his 2 starts have been not terrible. They've been serviceable. But his biggest thing is still he throws weight. He doesn't throw enough strikes.
Yeah, it's efficiency. It's command control efficiency of every at-bat is such a labor that you're only going to make it through, 4 or 5 innings, and then you go to your very taxed bullpen. And that's the thing is Rockies haven't got, especially over the last few weeks, a lot of depth from their starters.
Yeah. Blaylock was the same thing. We saw what he could do when he is on, and he's throwing strikes, and he's commanding the zone. But then his command has just completely disappeared, and he was walking a ton. And then when he does throw a strike, it's a meatball over the plate, home run, or it's hit hard. And so it's just pitching philosophy and execution. There's so much that is lacking from just a pitching development standpoint, particularly with starters. Relievers, they can get away from that stuff. If they can throw a strike, they compensate it with, I'm going to throw gas. But even then, there's guys that are a little wild. Like a Jaden Hill can get wild. Everybody can. Walks are an issue. Not enough strikeouts. Not good pitch sequencing. It's a big issue. And it's something the Rockies need to take a good long look at this offseason. Or people said, get an outside auditor, to somebody to come and just look at, okay, what are you doing with pitching?
Yeah.
I would maybe do something different.
And it's the lack of strikeouts will also always be a problem of, Like, they always try and find the rhythm of, well, as long as we can get them to ground out, or as long as we can keep the ball in the park, we'll be fine. But the Rockies need guys who consistently, more than two guys in Herman and Chase Dolander, who are consistently going to punch people's tickets.
Yeah.
Because it's when you're giving up a ton of contact, that's an invitation to give up a ton of runs. And that's what we've seen from Kyle Freeland and Antonio Sensatela and Bradley Blaylock and Tanner Gordon and pretty much anybody who's taken the mound for the Rockies this year in a starting capacity. It's all the contact that they give up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it all adds up because other teams, they know what's coming, and they're going to smack the poo out of the ball.
Yeah. And, there's clearly adjustments to be made, and it's not impossible. Incredibly small sample size, but I think we need to talk a little bit about Antonio Sensatela, who came back from the injured list today, who spent some time down in Arizona at the pitching lab, and the key takeaway was simplifying his mechanics and just trying to be more consistent. And he had a really interesting start today against Arizona. He went five scoreless, which is not something you expect from Antonio Sensatela in 2025. But he was pitching exclusively from the stretch with a simplified throwing motion, simplified mechanics, and appeared like he was trying to add a cut fastball to his arsenal, where on some of his regular four-seamers, he dialed back the velocity from his normal 95, 96 to 92, 93, and was getting cutting action on those fastballs. And it was really interesting I feel like this is the first time we've seen Sensatela tinker with his mechanics during his entire career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and why is it taking this long for that to happen? That's the questions we have to ask. And I also wonder, Evan, why haven't the Rockies built just like a pitching lab in Denver? Why don't they have that in Denver? You would think a team that spends half their time in a season pitching at altitude, would have a lab to help them learn what does altitude do to our pitches and how can we compensate.
It is weird because I get having a pitching and performance lab in Arizona because that's where your main complex is. That's where all your young guys are. But for your veterans, for your guys who are already on the team, and honestly, you can say the same for the hitters too, of here is a pitching and performance lab specifically built at altitude to measure the effects of the ball at altitude
that you can go to, on our off day or earlier in the day, and we don't have to put you on the injured list with a blister to send you to Arizona. It's just me thinking out loud with that, but yeah, there's so many questions of that starting rotation, and just because realistically, you need at least eight competent starting pitchers to help you get through a season. You need a lot more than that, but at the base minimum, everything goes right. Guys are healthy. You need at least 8, I would think.
And we don't have that.
Yeah, it's Anthony Molina. They view him as a starter, but he's struggled when he's started.
Yeah, he's back in the bullpen again.
And so it's you want him to be a starter, but he hasn't been able to do that at the big league level. And
honestly, I liked much more the Anthony Molina we got today, where it was a 1-inning throwing higher velocity fastball and pairing that with a slider and pretty much nothing else, than what we've seen from starter Anthony Molina, who has struggled in that role. Struggled in AAA, struggled up here, and there's just so many question marks always. And this season was supposed to be the season where the rotation at least had the fewest question marks, where you had our 4 veterans all coming in healthy, you had Chase Dolander, and you had some other prospects on the way, and it just hasn't worked out. And now we have, a bunch of guys whose futures are uncertain, and a whole lot of question marks because Gomber's gone. There is no way that Austin Gomber is here next year, unless he signs a minor league deal or something. I do not see any future where Austin Gomber is here. Because what are you going to do? You're going to give him a qualifying offer? because
Yeah.
he'll take an opportunity to make $23 million.
Spot Track puts his market value for next year, or because he'll be a free agent, they put it at roughly $2.8 million. He's earning $6.3 this season.
You've got Kyle Freeland, who has, 2 years left on his deal, basically, if you include the options. He's not going anywhere. He's basically, right now, and that's fine.
Yeah,
like, you need a veteran in the rotation. And if it's going to be Kyle Freeland, then fine. Especially with, he knows what he's doing. He's not having an awesome season, but he's been solid enough. Teammates like him. I know a lot of people tend to vent about Kyle Freeland, but he very clearly is a fixture of that clubhouse right now, and he's not going anywhere anyway.
Yeah, and like you think of maybe some of that. I'd look at this free agent market of who will be free agents, and the Rockies, like, I know they're going to hate it, but like, try to go out and get some of these guys. Yeah, you're probably going to have to pay a little bit more of a premium. You've got a little bit of savings, but like, take a chance on some guys that had good years. Adrian Hauser, how would he do in Coors Field for a full season? And it's that hard part. And unfortunately, they probably won't be able to do that. And so it goes back to, you got to prove you can help pitchers succeed at Coors Field. You got to take away the stigma of, you're going to come here and you're going to struggle. They've got to change that. And that's something they've just never done. They've never done it. It's, well, you're a good pitcher. Come play for us. Instead of like, hey, this is how we're going to help you, and this is how we're going to negate the effects of Coors Field. This is how you're going to succeed. We're going to have this game plan when you pitch at home.
You know what? I would even like to see it as a two-way street of, here are our thoughts. What are your thoughts? Yeah. What do you think? Let's get your opinion on what you think we could do to help you succeed at Coors Field.
Yeah.
Make it, teamwork makes the dream work.
That's what I'm told. Yeah, it's like, because there's a lot of intriguing, options you can maybe get on the cheap in free agency to help flesh out the rotation a little bit, give you a little bit of a buffer to help with some guys. But like, an Adrian Hauser, what about, do you try to maybe go out and get Dustin May? Probably get a premium, but Brad Keller, who's had a good year with the Cubs. Chris Paddock, you want to go pay a bunch of money for him? Griffin Canning, he hasn't been great, but like, he's a warm body you could maybe get something out of.
I hear Austin Gomber might be available. There's even some interesting, I know everybody hates a retread, but honestly, it could be interesting to pull in guys who have now spent the last, several years with other organizations. Your Tyler Andersons and your John Grays, if poor John Gray can be healthy, just sidelined with thoracic outlet syndrome, probably done for the season. That's a bummer. But okay, welcome back. What have you got for us? What have you learned? Yeah. What are other organizations doing that we can do?
Yeah. Mad Max and Justin Verlander are both going to be free agents.
Oh, I would love Max Scherzer in a Rockies uniform. Even old, washed up, past his prime, Max Scherzer. Yeah, get me Mad Max.
I'm not saying get either of those guys, but
it'd be fun.
It would be funny.
It would be a treat. A treat for your dear pal, Evan.
And then they get...
Doesn't Evan deserve a treat?
No, because his market value is at $7 million for next year. And hey, Verlander, you're not getting the premium anymore, buddy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys where the market value for next season is pretty reasonable, and you could see what they've got. Not even necessarily of it having to be oh, what have you got in the tank? Dustin May is going to be 28. His market value is $3.5 million. That's reasonable. And I wouldn't say that he's necessarily played himself into a crazy huge contract for this season. Try something. Try anything. Yeah. Try Tomoyuki Sagano. Try... I could just name names.
Be savvy spenders. And okay, well, Dustin May didn't pan... it's hard. We know how it is with trying to negotiate with pitchers to come play at Coors Field.
You can shop on a budget without going to the thrift store.
Yeah, which is what the Rockies always do. Like, oh, well, we can get Dakota Hudson. He'll come play for us.
Look at this perfectly used half a basketball.
Yeah. This is deflated basketball. I think I have a needle somewhere. They, in fact, did not have a needle.
It's, what is it? This Malibu Stacy doll without its head, and then a rat pops up out of it.
Yeah, but it's got a new hat.
It's just, don't be dumb. Don't be the Rockies about this. You've got a lot of money now off the books. You made the very smart decision of trading Ryan McMahon and his contract. Erman is a free agent at the end of the season. Austin Gomber, who you are paying, again, over $6 million this year, is off the books. Really, the major anchor on this team right now is Chris Bryant, and you're not getting around that anyway, but you've still got the maneuvering room now, especially with this very, very young team, to bring in not bargain basement shopping. You can look at things that are on sale. It doesn't have to be the manager special.
Yeah, you can look for more Jimmy Hergets, like steals.
Yeah, that ended up really working out well for the Rockies. Or, you know what? Make some trades. We all scoffed at Nolan Jones for Tyler Freeman. And boy, don't we look kind of dumb about that right now.
No, Evan, we're correct about everything we ever say.
I mean,
some other podcasts might be wrong, but no, we're always correct.
and it's got to be the same here of, if you're not sure you can get a free agent pitcher, you know what might be time to do is package a guy like Ariel Amador or a prospect who you're not sure really where they fit anymore. And send them to a team for pitching.
Yeah, if you can't entice them, kidnap them. Force them to come to you.
I mean,
it worked in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Let's legal disclaimer here. We are not advocating the kidnap and forced labor of major league pitching talent here in the state of Colorado. For the FBI and CIA agents who we know are listening, that was a joke.
Yeah, there's ways. If you can't get the free agents,
yes,
and like it comes on like make good deals.
Yeah, don't make deals for the sake of making deals. Like, there's a difference between that, you know, you're freewheeling, let's make a deal, any deal, whatever. But whoever is in charge of this team and roster construction this upcoming offseason, be smart, be savvy. You can, like I've said now, like in 4 different ways so far in the last 10 minutes, you can be thrifty without shopping exclusively at the thrift store.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll wait and see. We'll see what happens. Hey, that's all we can really do.
That's baseball.
We say that a lot, even after Bud Black is gone. It's a very prescient phrase. But, so help me God, I never, ever want to hear Warren Schaefer say, whatever happens, that's baseball, in a presser.
Baseball is how it happens.
Oh, you know, they don't think it be like it is, but it do.
It be like that sometimes, fam.
It do indeed. But that's going to do it here for us on Affected by Altitude. Thank you so much for listening to us this week. Skyler, where can the folks find you at?
Find me over on Twitter at Skyler Timmons or on Blue Sky at stimmons13.bsky.social. For some reason, there's more people that will interact with me on Blue Sky, so go follow me there. That's nice. It's a good feeling.
It is, yeah. I think Blue Sky continues to be fostering a pretty good spot for baseball content. I feel like the interaction there is pretty good. Even if I don't have as many followers or stuff like that, I have more people asking me like meaningful questions about things, which is nice.
Or it just people actually see it.
That's true. There's less.
I'll be darned if I pay $8 to anybody to put a check mark by my name.
Less of a content flood.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that you can find Rocky Mountain Rooftop on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. That's iTunes, or I guess Oh, wow. They don't even call it iTunes anymore. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the other general. If there's a podcast platform that you like, we're probably on it. There's also the video version of the show on youtube.com, and you can find Rocky Mountain Rooftop on all of your favorite podcasting platforms of choice, even Blue Sky, and the video version of the show on YouTube at Rocky Mountain Rooftop. That's at ROCKYMTN Rooftop. You can find me on Blue Sky at evanlang27.bsky.social. I would love to hear from you. And you can also catch me writing the Monday Rock Piles and the weekly Pebble Reports over on Purple Row.
I was trying to look up where all places that our podcast goes to, but I don't even know how to find that.
It's somewhere buried in there. There's something that says it.
Yeah,
like, that's how we find out the random person in, like, South Africa or whatever who listens to our show.
Yeah. There's Pocket Casts, there's Safari, there's Podbean, there's Overcast, Spotify, Chrome, Firefox, iHeartRadio, Safari. People are just using their browsers.
What on earth is Podbean?
I don't know, but there's been 9 downloads.
But we're available on it.
There's also Podcast Addict, there's Downcast, there's Podcast Guru, Stage Fright, Castbox, iVoox.
Good old iVoox.
Google Podcasts on smart speakers. I don't think Google Podcasts exists anymore, though.
It does not.
Alexa, Amazon Alexa, Apple Core Media, Internet Explorer. Dang, the one homie who has listened on Internet Explorer.
Holding out because Internet Explorer not supported anymore.
Mozilla and
it's all about
TuneIn.
the edge now.
We are on the TuneIn radio app. Nice. There's been one download there as well.
Thanks, one guy. Thank you to our one guys on Internet Explorer and TuneIn. You are making the dream work.
Mm-hmm.
But we appreciate each and every one of you who listen to our show. Shout out to the guy where I bought some autographed baseballs on eBay, and in my buyer feedback, they left "Love the podcast." Shout out to that guy.
Hey. Nice.
But that'll do it for us here today on Affected by Altitude. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. We love the Rockies, even though the Rockies are painful and bad. But you know what? They don't quit, and neither do we.
They never knew when to quit.
Skyler, how about you hit him with it, and we head on out of here.
Farewell.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. It's so dense.
This has been Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast with Rocky Mountain Rooftop, a proud affiliate of the Fans First Sports Network. Catch new episodes every Monday on wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Be sure to follow us on YouTube as well for video versions of the show.